Hey everyone, happy Monday. I'm so excited to hop on here today and introduce you to a great panel. My name is Violette de Ayala. I'm the founder and CEO of FemCity. And every Monday we show up at 12 p.m. time around, and we have great conversations that are intended to give you guys wisdom, action steps, and inspiration for the week. So today we're going to talk about money. That is our theme for the month of January for FemCity, talking about wealth mindset. Our intention is to give our members more access to wealth conversations. The more we talk about wealth, I really feel the more in your life. I have personally asked all these amazing women to be on with me today. They are women that I find to be incredibly valuable when we have, and feel free to join along if you're live. Feel free to add aha moments, have questions that you want to ask, post them here. And if you're watching this in the FemCity library later on, feel free to continue the conversation there as well. Even if it's 2 or 3 months down the road, free to not only ask questions, but you can also reach out to our panelists. They are amazing women to succeed. That is what we are bringing today. So before we get started, I want to go ahead and our panel. I'm going to give them the opportunity to share a little bit about who they are and what makes them an expert in money and in wealth. Amanda, take it away. Tell Fems who you are.
Hi, everybody. My name is Amanda Abella, and I'm the CEO of a marketing and sales training company called Make Money Your Honey. So basically, I help women coaches and course creators create their high ticket offers. I teach them marketing and sales systems, and then I teach them everything they need to know about sales. And our clients typically start getting results within 30 to 45 days. Prior to that, I was a financial writer for 8 years. So my first business, I actually did content marketing for financial companies, everything from Wells Fargo and Discover to fintech companies like Credit Karma. And I also have an award-winning podcast and blog that has covered financial topics. And I've also done financial education campaigns with companies like TransUnion.
Awesome. Ginny, take it away. Share a little bit about who you are.
Hey everyone, I'm Ginny Robertson, and I am the founder of the On Purpose Woman Global Community and the founder and publisher, of On Purpose Woman magazine. And I also am one of the co-hosts of the Real Women, Real Talk. No, that's it. That's wrong. Real Women, Real Purpose talk show. And I think the thing that makes me an expert, or at least to bring my point of view to this, is what I did for myself over the years. My background's actually in corporate finance. I left that arena and started my own business 29 years ago. But corporate finance doesn't have a lot to do with what we're talking about today. So I still, even though I was excellent at that, I wasn't very good at my own personal relationship with money. So I think some of the things that I did could be helpful to some of those who are listening today.
Love that. Thank you. Jen, take it away.
Hello, good morning. I'm Jena Rodriguez, and I am a transformational mentor and growth strategist. And I help entrepreneurs, CEOs, teams, corporate teams, et cetera, really outsmart their egoic self, right? Their egoic voice in order to, to win. And my company is called Brave Masters. And that's what it's all about, is helping people get their brave on and really dive into their own mindset and what I call the emotional strength training practice, so that no matter what the subject is, and today obviously is a very big topic, and it's a big one in my life. I've come through a lot of growth, from a childhood that wasn't so wealthy, right? And what does it take to overcome all of that and, create something for myself? So I'm excited, glad to be here.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jena. Sarah, take it away.
Thank you, Violet. My name is Sarah Hammond, and I am the owner of Atlas Electrical, Air Conditioning, Refrigeration, and Plumbing Services Incorporated. We've been in business 38 years. I'm also the head and CEO of Hummingbird Trailer Park, which is a park that we've had in the family for over 29 years. And we also run and manage several complexes. And so I run the financials for the whole family, the dynamics of it. And so we've been doing this for quite some time. So I think that's why I was perhaps asked to come and present to you today.
Absolutely, Sarah, I love your diversity when it comes to conversations, because you run so many different companies. I always love inviting you in. So thank you so much for being here. So before we get kind of started in the conversation and the profound discussion, there might be some femmes that are saying, what is a wealth mindset? They hear about it, or a money mindset. They hear about it. They've seen it a little bit, but at the end of the day, they're like, I don't even know what that even is. So if you guys can just share briefly what you think a money mindset or wealth mindset is. My intention asking that question is that for those that are watching, to really resonate with the topic before we really dive in, so that we're all on the same level when we're having that discussion. Amanda.
So in the simplest form, to me, wealth consciousness means money is just a frequency. It is just an energy, and I can align with that energy. So basically everything I'm saying, doing, speaking into existence, down from what I'm wearing, has to do with that energy of money. And it's also fundamentally believing that despite what is going on out there, and I know there's a lot going on out there right now, we live in an abundant universe that is constantly expanding, and money is always there for me no matter what.
Love it. Ginny.
Yes, what Amanda said. And I'm going to add to that, that for me, a money mindset is this set of deep-seated beliefs that have been usually unconscious, and they've been with us forever. And they can either support us in having a great relationship with money, or they can get in our way big time. And it informs all the decisions that we make around money.
Thank you so much. Jena?
Yeah, this is deep. I mean, I agree with Amanda and Ginny already. And, for me, I definitely think a wealth and a money mindset is exactly that. It's a set of thoughts and the way that you approach your belief system and your thinking system and your action system. And, and if you are in alignment with the growth mindset also, then money can grow. It's an energy, like Amanda said, in my opinion as well. It's like I work with clients, and I just worked with one on Friday, and they've got a couple $1 million, and they're still in fear, and they're still in hesitation, and so it doesn't matter what level you are at. It is a mindset and a vibration that you bring. So I second everything that's shared already. So yeah.
An event, a money conversation, and we had someone from the SBA, Althea Harris, and she mentioned that they have clients at the SBA that are making millions of dollars, and they're still not in a wealth mindset. And so we talk. So I'm so glad you mentioned that, because I think that may help others also that are perhaps performing well financially, but are still struggling to get to that next level that they can see for themselves, and there are blocks there. So I love that you've expanded that. Conversation will hold not just for those that are at a smaller and kind of financial situation, but also those that are already on their way. Sarah, did you want to add anything to that?
Basically, they hit it on the nail. Ginny, when she was talking about your mindset, where it comes from, and the energy that Amanda was sharing, it's all basically the same thing. It's where you put your mind at and how you believe in yourself, because mindset starts with belief in yourself first. So you have to have that confidence, and so that's really, really important. It's a must.
I unmuted myself. So, all right, let's talk about moving past blocks, because I think 2020, I know a lot of our femmes really struggled. A lot of humans struggled in 2020. I'm so over the word pivot. I was like, I'm so glad for 2021 where we don't have to say the word pivot anymore. But what would you tell someone who's really struggling to move past the blocks when it comes to having those good relationships with money? Perhaps now they're in bigger debt. Perhaps they're now not really knowing what 2021 is going to hold true, and they have these blocks that are going there, but they know they need to move past that. They know they need to do the work. They just really don't know how. What advice would you give them on ways that they can move past those blocks that they've had and into a space where they can have a really great relationship when it comes to money? Let's do a full circle. Amanda.
So the first thing I would say, and it's funny because I said this 10 years ago when I started my first business, when everyone was asking me, what should millennials do about money? It's the same thing. You have to be careful about what you're taking in. You have to be careful about what you're feeding your brain. You have to be careful about what stories you are choosing to take on. And I know that there's a lot of chaos out there right now, but it's still a choice ultimately at the end of the day, how much you choose to participate in that. And we are living in a time, quite frankly, right, where there is a lot of chaos going on, and people are going to try and drag you into it. One of my clients, she teaches something called Immigrant Finance School, and she's doing exceptionally well through the coaching that we've done together. She created her high ticket program. She still has her job. She's a lawyer in Washington, D.C. She's making tens of thousands of dollars on the side of her job every single month, precisely because she's learned a lot of the principles that we teach her. She teaches immigrants how to invest. She posted something the other day on her Instagram where she was saying, like, hey, you see all the chaos going on right now? This is why we need to build wealth. This is why we need to invest. And immediately in the comments, people started shooting at her and being like, how can you say that with how much people are struggling right now? How dare you? That's easy for you to say. So they're immediately trying to bring her down. Or I've seen other instances last week when people are like, stop running your Facebook ads, stop selling, stop making money. And I'm like, this serves absolutely no one and nothing. Because if you really want to help, you need to keep money circulating and you need to build wealth for yourself. So I would really say, be careful what you choose to take in. I boxered my business bestie this morning and I said, hey, look, if I don't respond to you, it's because I'm meeting my commitments that I have this week, but this energy is going to get more intense. I am turtling. When I am not working, I am turtling. I'm not getting in Facebook fights. I'm not getting in Twitter fights. I'm not reading the news. I'm aware of what's going on. That's all I need to know, but I'm moving forward.
Ginny, what would you say? What advice would you give?
Well, I agree with all of that, and I'm really into the energy piece of this too, but I'm going to take a really practical step here. And I think one of the first things that we need to do to get real with our money mindset is to sit down and be honest about what it is right now, because so many people hide from their finances. Oh, if I don't look at that bill when it comes in, or if I don't look at my credit card statement, it doesn't really exist, or I don't want to know, I don't want to know how much debt I'm in. I don't want to really know where my money's going every month. And so the honesty helps get past the shame, because there's a lot of shame around that. And I also suggest, if you've got a trusted friend that has your back, sit down and have that money conversation with them. Get it out of the closet, out of the gutter, on the table, and it won't have any real power over you any longer. And then you can actually do the work, but you've got to get away from that shame and guilt first.
Love that. You reminded me of when Steve and I first got married. We were a very poor, very poor couple starting out in life, and we were in debt from college. And the first I ever had someone ask me that was at the VA. They had a program called Consolidated Credit Services or something like that. That was the first time someone told me, like, write it all out. Write out like what you write down, how much in. No one had ever taught me that. Ever. And it was like, we didn't even know. We had no idea. So I love that you shared that, because that was so huge for us. And I go back to that lesson over and over and over again. Matter of fact, I have it all up, like my monthly budget, I have it. I'm obsessed with numbers. So, but someone needed to tell me that in order for me to get a grip of what my current situation was so I could get out of it. Jena, do you want to add anything?
Yeah. So I love like curate, right? Like Amanda was speaking to. So curating what you're absorbing, fact versus fiction was something I was going to mention, right? Getting to facts versus the assumptions that we make about our situation or make about our bank accounts or credit card balances, et cetera. So getting to the facts versus the fiction. And I would just add, I talk a lot about profitable consciousness and elevating our awareness of how our egoic self responds and reacts, as well as, what our higher self really truly knows. And, and so I've created these egoic archetypes, these 4 archetypes. So I think part of getting into profitable consciousness is self-awareness and understanding, kind of what we've talked about already. It's like, what are those blocks? What is the unconscious, still, working through, and you're not aware of it. And I mean, even December, I went through a little bit of my own, a couple more wounds opened up, and I was like, okay, I needed to see that one, right? It's been a long time, but I needed to see you. Welcome, my friend. And I think ultimately, you got to fall in love with money. You got to fall in love, because it's just it's a concept, it's an energy, it's all that. But it's like we create shame, we create stories, we create it's bad, it's not, we shouldn't be focused on that. But it's like, if you can treat it like a best friend, it's almost like, how would you respect money and how would you treat money And what would you say to money if it was your best friend or, a client or something you're mentoring? It's like, what would you say to that thing, right? What would you say to that, that beautiful resource, right? And so I think, again, it comes back to how you hold it, how you speak about it, and the relationship, the relatedness you have to money. And so that's a piece that I would add, is fall in love with it.
Absolutely. Sarah?
I love the fact that she mentioned falling in love with it. I think that my parents were migrant workers. They worked in the fields, yet they were able to create all these diverse businesses. And how did they do that? They did it with, we talked about mindset, but it's about investing in yourself. And when you don't have any money, you say, how do I invest in myself? Well, you start small. You start by what you're reading, by what you're taking in, like Amanda said, by who you're hanging around with. What is the influence that is pushing you to spend what you shouldn't or to drag you down into the hole that you're in? It's influence, who you're around, who you're with. The fact that my parents' businesses, when they did, and I would watch them when I was young, they would tell me, it's about the people that work for you first. It's not about us. It's about the people that work for us. So I grew up and I understood that. So like in 2020, we went into crunch time. I stopped paying myself for the for 2 months when we went into COVID, just to make sure that there was going to be cash flow, because I didn't know what was coming. And then after I knew we were safe, then I opened up the field again. But because I should have invested in myself enough to have saved so that my team can always be taken care of. So you've got to, everything starts with an investment. It's your mindset. Invest in your mind. Invest in the people that you surround yourself, invest in, the fields, the outsources, the profits out there, but invest. You have to take that time for you. It's confidence.
I love that. And it segues into my next question for you guys is the better connection with money, right? Whether it's how Amanda was saying about, curating the people around you and that energy. Jena and Ginny talked about the energy also of that. Much like you just said, Sarah, now is that relationship, that connection. What is your biggest advice or your best advice for someone who's really looking to become best friends with money, but perhaps their entire life they've been taught and told that it's bad to think about money or to talk about money? Or what's your advice for them, that for those that are really wanting to make that connection, but they really don't know how to even start? Amanda.
Yeah, so I think ultimately you have to get clear on what those wounds are, but you have to put yourself in situations for the wounds to come up so they can be healed. And I think people avoid those things. So I have a kind of an unconventional thing that I started doing in 2020, but it sure brought up wounds, so it worked. And I made more money as a result of it. So in 2020, I actually did the same. I stopped paying myself for like the whole second quarter just to make sure my team would be okay. And then, I turned it back on again because, to Sarah's point, you're a leader. That's the responsibility you have to take. I did the same thing. When I turned it back on again, I said, okay, well, I can choose to contract, which is what most people are going to do right now, or I can choose to expand, which is what I've been telling all my clients. Choose to expand. Even if you're in the minority of expanding right now and things are crazy, when they settle down, you're going to be the first in line. So choose to expand. But I had to get better at receiving. And I feel like this is an issue where women really, really struggle, is that receiving piece. So I was like, all right, I've gotten good at receiving in my business. I have no problem investing money in retirement accounts or in real estate accounts or saving money, but I haven't actually allowed myself to enjoy money. That's what was missing for me. So what I did is I actually started allowing myself, I was like, I'm going to push the limit, right? There are certain Christian Louboutin shoes that I've been wanting for 10 years, right? There's a certain Chanel bag I've been wanting for years. There are certain things that I have been basically lusting over and researching for a very long time. So what I started doing in 2020 was I had the audacity to succeed. That's number one, because it is audacious to succeed in 2020 and in 2021. But number two, I had to expand what was actually possible for me. And I had to start moving into an archetype of a wealthy woman. Would a wealthy woman freak out if she could pay for Christian Louboutin shoes in cash and it wouldn't affect her retirement accounts? No, she wouldn't. She would just buy the damn shoes. So that's what I did. And all my crap came up when I did. All these stories of who are you to buy these shoes? Are you crazy? Are you out of your mind? Have you lost it? And then I realized, oh, this is about worthiness and it's about receiving, because I've allowed myself to receive in these ways, but not in these ways over here. So I think for us women, it usually does come down to worthiness and receiving, but I think you have to put yourself in those scary situations in order for those things to be healed. That's one example. Another example could be just make a damn sales call and just like put yourself in the position to actually make some money. That'll bring up all your stuff too. Whatever your choosing is or whatever level you're at, you have to put yourself in positions for these things to come up so you can recognize them, heal them, and move forward.
Love that. I'm laughing because that's a woman thing for sure. Like for sure. That was me when I started doing PR for FemCity years ago. I'm like, I know how to do PR. I wasn't doing it. It brought up all sorts of crazy narratives I had created in my mind. Anyway, Ginny, what would you say?
Well, I don't think anyone's mentioned this yet. I think it's really important to look at your family dynamic around money. You know, what did you hear as a child? It could be really extremes on either end, or it could be a pretty healthy relationship with money. And then notice how you talk to yourself about money. So an example of that would be, let's say something comes across your radar and it's something that you know will help you advance in your career or in your personal life. But you look at it and you go, that's too expensive. I can't afford it. As soon as we utter those words, I can't afford it, the universe says, right you are, and shuts the door. And we don't look anywhere past that to actually see, I really want that. My bank account is not supporting that right now. I don't want to go into credit card debt. How can I start today making that money, saving that money, finding that money so that I can have it down the road? It does require some discipline, and it requires, not necessarily being somebody who has to have instant gratification all the time, but it's such a different energy around, it puts us in charge of it rather than being a victim of it. Because if we just say, it's not going to work, or I can't afford it, or that's cost too much, and if we're always doing this, there's this Zen saying that says, a closed hand can receive nothing. And so if we're always holding on really tight to money or love or any of that stuff, we can't receive any of it. So just notice in the course of a day, what are the really little lies that you're telling yourself about money?
Love that, Ginny. Love that. Thank you. Jenna?
Yeah, this is so good. I'm like, I needed to hear this too. Just a great reminder of all of it. And so I'll add to it, because this is all accurate. I would add that, one step to take is to get really clear on who you do want to be, right? Where do you want to go? What is the goal? What's I call it the new fishbowl identity that you want to create. Because at any given moment, our egoic identity self is creating the fishbowl we live in. And to speak to both Amanda and Jenny share, it's definitely what we currently believe, what we are still holding on to, the mindset, the thoughts, the habits, right? The habit called every time I can't spend something, I say the words, I can't afford it. That's a habit. And I broke that habit about 4 or 5 years ago when I realized I was still saying it. I was like, I got to change these words, right? And so I refuse to ever say that. It's like, it's just not an option anymore. And so when you have the identity and the inventory of what your current fishbowl is, like what fishbowl are you living in? And the new fishbowl is the one you keep saying you want, and the goals and the financial, experience you want to create. And part of that, like Amanda shared, it's like, who would you be if you were in that new fishbowl? And so much of the issue is what's in the middle. Like I'm always collapsing the gap for people between the new fishbowl and the current fishbowl, because in the middle is those ego tricks and those things that we tell ourselves that don't serve us anymore, the relationships that we keep holding on to that are not adding to where we want to go and the kind of life we want to live. And so I think the next exercise is to very honestly look at what you got to let go of. And so you got to let go of certain thoughts. You got to let go of certain language. You got to let go of behaviors and habits. And then I just want to say, one of the best things I did this year, because health and wealth are my focus for this year as well. Like I'm putting a whole new meaning and focus and all of that. And last year I started teaching myself a new skill. So I think skill and discipline is two words we need to adopt. So it's like, if you're in wealth, skill may be, I don't know how to think about this. I don't know how to change my fishbowl, identity. Or it might be, I need to learn something that's going to lead me towards wealth. So I started teaching myself day trading. It's like an hour or two in the morning. It's a new skill set. Nobody can take it away from me. I can try something new and it can add to the money conversation. And I'm happy to say this month I added, 40% to my account. I'm learning, right? A very small account, but it's the whole point. Get started, right? So skill and then discipline that it requires to learn that new skill and trust yourself and be confident in yourself enough to play the game. And so whether it's day trading or investing or, building a business successfully or whatever the skill is that you feel you're missing, that's the other thing you need to look at. What do I need to let go of? But what do I need to actually learn in order to be the person in the new fishbowl? So and I could go on and on about that. You know me. So I'll stop there.
Love that.
That's a whole nother class, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, I just wrote down a class for femmes.
Yes.
Sarah.
All good.
I loved all of it. It is true. It is, what you're doing, who you're around, what you're seeing, what you're taking in, what you project yourself to be. My parents always told me when I was growing up, do you want it or do you need it? What are we going to do? So they taught me to always get my paycheck and have an automatic withdrawal every single time I got paid into a savings account. Then they taught me to, once you get a certain amount, get 1,000, put it in and let's invest it. And let's put it out there in the market and let's put that $1,000 out there and let it build itself. But continue to withdraw income from what you're taking, because what's in front of you, you're going to spend until you teach yourself not to. So put things in place. Get with your bank account where it's an automatic withdrawal of a certain percentage. I started that with my daughter. She started working. We started up a savings account and she started taking money out. By the end of 3 months of working, she had $1,000 saved so she could turn around and buy what she wanted. She wanted this, foofy computer thing that I was like, I'm not going to pay for that. You already have a laptop. I already did my job. You want that, you work for it. So needs and wants, understand those two terms. And then you'll be able to say, okay, I want this, but I don't need it right now. I'm going to save for it in my future. And you teach yourself steps at a time. It's baby steps. Nobody just turns around and, has thousands and millions of dollars in their hands overnight. Take those baby steps. It's okay to fall, but it's not okay not to pick yourself back up.
Yeah, I wrote down 3 things that came to mind. If you're listening to us and you are like, I don't know anybody like this, I can't surround myself with it. I mean, there's just so many. You can actually have mentors that are through YouTube. You can follow. You can, like Jena mentioned, you can learn. You can surround yourself in a virtual way. It doesn't have to be that person even knows you exist. I mean, for the longest time, I think Oprah was my mentor and my pseudo mom. She doesn't know who I am, but you can always. And the second thing that I was thinking about is that saying, the poor stay poor by pretending they're rich, and the rich stay rich by pretending they're poor. That mindset of you don't have to spend everything that comes in, the saving, that aspect, I think is a huge thing also, is that we live in a culture where you see all day of people buying stuff and buying stuff and buying stuff, that there's no information of saying, I worked, I invested, I saved this, like Amanda, I've been lusting over this for 10 years. I'm giving myself the permission to finally, buy that because I've worked and I've accomplished and I've made it in that step that I want to go in. So, and I can't remember the third point. That's why I have to write things down. I was like, I had a third point, but I can't remember it right now. Let's go ahead and wrap up. So actually we do have some love that came through. Facebook user, LOL, love that, new fishbowl. Another Facebook user said, let go. This one says, I was 18 years old and investing because I saw my grandma doing it. The ladies at the bank were so mean to me and did not take me seriously. I changed banks. Well, sometimes, I mean, who's mean to people? That's horrible. Tammy says, love that. Tammy's another FemCity Global member. And then last comment, people are living off loans, very scary. Yeah, but I think it's also like people didn't know. I mean, there's a lack of education when it comes to financial literacy. Even Ginny, I love that you shared that you were in the financial world in a corporate setting, but yet there was not the connection to wealth. So I think that's really, that was beautiful for you to share, because we can have that and still not be connected in the way, because you're not taught that, Sarah, your parents, that was so great that your parents taught you all those and that you're paying it forward. But for so many of us, we didn't have that, except for me with United Way. United Way was the one who told me that, but that's beautiful. The more we talk about it, I think the more it makes it easier for people to really step into that place. So let's go ahead and wrap up. I'd like for you guys to add one thing of advice for someone who is now finally starting to say, you know what, 2021 is going to be all about that connection with money. They're starting to believe in themselves. What would you say to them? And then do your, how can Fems find you? So Amanda, what would you say to that person? And then how can Fems find you to learn more about the work that you're doing?
Pay yourself. Chase can wait. That's what I always say. Okay, everybody can wait. You need to pay yourself first. There's something that goes on psychologically for you when you start putting that money away from you first, whether that's in your savings. Maybe you have a job and you're starting to put away in savings and investments. If you have a business, I know this is chronic. So many business owners who do not pay themselves at all. They don't take owner's draws. They don't take salaries, depending what your incorporation is. Get in the habit of paying yourself. Stop this whole thing about like everybody comes first and I get the scraps. That's not going to help you make any money at all. And people will push back and they'll be like, oh, but I have debt and I have this. Pay yourself first. Those people can wait. And if you believe in an abundant mindset, it'll start helping you and train you in that direction, because when you feel worthy of it, guess what? You're going to attract more opportunities or more money, or you're just going to figure out how to deal or how to find the resources, or you'll figure it out. Right? But you have to actually take that action step first. And what was the last part?
How can Fems find you?
Oh, okay. So I know we're on Facebook group right now. Come find me in my free Facebook group, High Ticket Sales for Women Coaches and Course Creators. We do complimentary marketing and sales trainings every single week. We have one at 4 p.m. Eastern today, all about how to do email marketing like a boss so you can increase your sales. So you can go find it on Facebook. You can search High Ticket Sales for Women Coaches. It'll pop right up. Or you can also text the word JOIN, JOIN, to 833-321-0314, and then you'll be prompted with how to join us.
Awesome. I didn't pay myself when I started FemCity. I didn't pay myself for 4 years. And I invested so much of my own money into it. But going back to what you were saying, Amanda, when I did start paying myself in year 4, year 5, even if it was like $1,000, it does something to yourself. It makes it real. Of course, I had no business going on, but that was huge for me. So I'm so glad you said that. Ginny, what would you say?
Yes, when you're, when you're in this process, you're going to hit those walls. You're going to hit those places where you start thinking that old stuff again, where your mindset's going to go to that negative place. So when you find yourself feeling a lack around money, give some away. It doesn't have to be a lot. You can buy a cup of coffee for a friend, but just doing one little thing like that will shift your internal mindset from scarcity to generosity. And also gratitude is so important. And to live in gratitude, I think if we're living in gratitude for what we have, our supply increases, because we leave all this space for more to come in. And you can find me at onpurposewomancommunity.com, information about the community. I also have a big Facebook group called the On Purpose Woman Global Community. When you go to onpurposewomancommunity.com, there's also a link to the free magazine. So check that out. Lots of great information and resources for your mind, body, spirit, and your business. Thank you.
Love it. Thank you, Ginny. Thank you. Jena.
So I would leave you with this: learn, let go, and love. So what do you need to learn, right? What is that skill set that you might you know, a lot of our mind and beliefs come from what we don't know. And, you know, it's like we continue to have the same habits. So learn something new, learn a new skill, learn more discipline, learn from people that have been there, done that, right? So learn something, let go. What do you need to let go of, right? That current fishbowl that's not serving you anymore. What do you need to let go of? What thoughts, beliefs, people, environments, etc. And then love yourself and love money. Right? Love the conversation. Stop being, you know, in the shame of it or in this, nobody talks about this. No, we need to talk about this, you know, and me included, right? It's like, so love yourself, love money, and keep going. And so you can find me at the easiest place. Of course, you can click on my name here and direct message me if you have, you know, any questions or thoughts. Otherwise, bravemasters.com is the website. And you can take my quiz, the 4 egoic archetypes. So you can find out which one. It's like, how do you relate? How does your egoic self relate to money or relate to relationships, you know, business, etc. Right? What's that behavior? And my podcast and social media, everything's on there. So, but the website's very central to go to. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you. I love that you guys mentioned also shame a couple of times, because I think that that's a big one that for 2020, you know, people made decisions that they did the best they had at that moment. And if you are feeling some shame, if you are feeling some regret, you know, that's understandable. And I'm glad that we touched upon that as well, so that it opens the energy for them to move forward and just release that feeling that's holding them back.
That's one of the let goes. Let go of the shame.
Exactly. I love that. I wish someone had told me that when I was in that situation, you know, before I went to United Way, for them to tell me. There was shame. Oh my gosh, there was so much shame, and just, I was upset with myself, and that's not a good place. I mean, you're not going to move forward if you're feeling that still. You know, you have to kind of just like forgive yourself and realize I did the best I could with what I had, and release the shame. So I love that you guys talked about that. Sarah.
I loved everything they said. Jena, that was great. I loved your 3 L's. I would say work with integrity. Everything that you do, make sure that you have integrity in it. When you're working at a job, if you're going into the job and you have a negative attitude, how can you expect a paycheck to give you a better mindset? It's not. You have to work with integrity. When you're out there in the field and you're out there in the community and you're in your job, it's integrity first. Perform, love what you do, and then the flow will come to you. But if you walk in with negative energy, you're just going to get negativity back. And if you're looking just for a paycheck because you're needing it, like Ginny was talking earlier with your closed hands, it's never going to come to you. So just walk with integrity. Be somebody that somebody else can relate to, that can promote you, that can look up to you, and then you're going to see your force really come through.
I love that. We actually talked about that today in our accountability program for FemCity. We talked about integrity, because a lot of times we talk about manifestation and abundance, but the truth is when you get to that place, if you don't have integrity, it blocks you from receiving other opportunity, you know. But the reality is when we talk about that, you have to have integrity in order to up level consistently. If you don't show up and do the work, you're only going to get so far. So that's a whole other conversation that I'd love to have also. Thank you so much. Sarah, did you want to mention
where they can find me?
Yes.
Please look for me on LinkedIn, Sarah Sagredo Hammond. Find me on LinkedIn and we connect. We can do whatever you want to do from there. You know, hit me up.
Awesome. Sarah serves as a mentor for a lot of our femmes in South Texas. They all love her. And anyway, it's so great to see you guys. I am so appreciative that I know all of you. Thank you so much for taking time today to share your wisdom. Femmes that are watching, continue the conversation, post questions. You do have some more love that came through. Tammy says, love that. So good. Y'all, thank you. And then Nicole said, wonderful information, ladies. Thank you. So grateful. Hope you guys have a great week. We'll be back next Monday. Let us know how this helped you, and we wish you great success. Bye.
Love you all. Thanks.